This week on Crunch Week, we're talking about Facebook's big earnings, life on the D list, and Uber's big moves. Hi, welcome to Crunch Week. I'm Ryan Lawler.
And I'm Sarah Burr.
And I'm Alex.
And we have not that much to talk about this week.
It's really pathetically small. I feel like there's just not enough content for even 5 minutes of show.
Everybody took off this week, except for Facebook, which killed it with its earnings.
Yeah, they had a blowout quarter. I think there's a lot of people out there expecting their recent stock price gain to be kind of, ephemeral or fictitious or not really won by them. But they reported big numbers, and they hit all-time highs, and they're worth now about $190 billion, which is more than Amazon. I didn't know that. And they're worth now about half of what Google and Microsoft are worth. So it's been a really big week for them, and I think that if you're down there on their campus, you're probably pretty damn happy.
What was the most impressive thing from the earnings report for you?
They beat on revenue, earnings per share. They had strong growth numbers, both international and abroad, and mobile. I mean, they showed that 62% of their ad revenue is now from mobile device usage, which is just huge for them. They've literally proven to the world that you can monetize mobile. I mean, people are now chasing them saying, well, Facebook did it, why can't we? Why can't we? Why can't we? And every quarter now, they show an incremental gain in their mobile ad revenue, and people are just eating it up. And, I call them Big Blue now. I mean, fuck IBM. It's a new
It's a new Big Blue.
It's a new Big Blue.
What do you think, Sarah? I'm not really a Facebook user. Like, I use Facebook like twice a day. Compared to everyone else who uses Facebook for 40 minutes a day, right?
I mean, for me, I'm actually a big Facebook user, and it seemed to me it was inevitable that they were doing really well with mobile ads. Like, people kept saying that this wasn't going to work. I think it looks like they changed. I honestly don't know quite like as much as Alex does, so I feel like Alex should be talking about this a lot more than I should. But I do use it a lot, and I think. I kind of wish that I had invested now.
Well, I don't know how much more upside they have in the short term, but they were down to $26 a share at their low, and now they're up at like $74, $75 a share. So if you invested when they were kind of at their trough, you made off like a bandit. But you have to have serious, gumption to invest at a low like that because it could go lower, like with Groupon, for example.
Well, now is not the time to invest.
Right.
No investment advice has been given on the show. Do not construe any comments as investment advice.
What I mean is, I'm not going to invest at this time.
Right. I'm glad to hear that. But real talk though, how often do you use Facebook during a day and only use it mobile and not use a desktop at all?
I used to use it a lot more than I do now. I would say I check in maybe once or twice just to see what's going on.
And down from Ryan.
But I used to get on it every morning in the morning and check what was going on. But I don't actually do that anymore.
Is Twitter now your kind of go-to for that?
Yes.
Yeah. See, welcome to TechCrunch.
Right.
Yeah.
Good
I feel weird about this though. One of the things that you brought up, I don't know if you wrote about it in your stories, but you've been sort of talking about it, in our newsroom, is that now that Facebook's at all-time highs, it's time for Facebook to buy another company. Right.
It's so exciting. So last time they were at high share price, they took a lot of that equity that they were given by public investors and bought stuff like WhatsApp and Oculus. And so now the question is, at this insane market cap, they can use that as a weapon and essentially issue shares at this insanely inflated share price and then buy things at a discount. Because if they go down like 30% later, they bought things when they were worth more, and they're using kind of free money given to them by private investors. So it's brilliant.
So they're going to buy Pinterest, right?
I think we all saw that on The Secrets.
Okay.
I think that would be an interesting acquisition. I don't understand it entirely. I have to look into it. But Zuck has big threats and a big bank account. You put those two together, you get big acquisitions. Maybe he could buy TechCrunch for like $2.5 billion. That would be nice.
Maybe.
To be on
maybe.
shares.
I don't know if AOL would sell us for that little.
3.25 on a good weekend. Tim, if you're listening, hook it up, baby.
All right. So another interesting story that we had this week was, Sarah, you spent a week playing the Kim Kardashian
more than
game.
A week.
Okay. tell us about your life with Kim Kardashian.
Kim and I are besties in this virtual game. In virtual Hollywood, where I have, and now I'm on the B list. And when I wrote the story, I was mostly on the D list, and then I spent money to get on the C list.
Wait, so this is a mobile game, right, for iOS?
Yes,
okay.
It's actually the #1 game in the App Store right now.
Of all the apps.
Of all the apps, it's the number one. Yeah, of all the free apps, it's the number one.
And so the premise of the game is
Free.
you
Yes.
are a model or something or a celebrity.
No, you start out as this nobody that
a shop girl.
you actually have to get your job in the shop. You start out, the guy asks you if you want work, and you say yes, and because you have nothing else going on. And I mean, they give you a name. My name was Riley. For some reason, they gave me a name. And then one day, Kim graced me with her presence and asked if she could be let in after hours when I was closing up, and I obliged. And she asked if she could have a free dress, and I helped her out and hooked her up. And
So
what if you say no?
well, that's a good question.
Are there two options, yes and no? Like, no, the end, you lose?
I told myself in the game I was just going to say yes to everything because I'd heard that that's how you advance. So I was just saying yes to everything, including weird photographers and shady.
Weird dates.
Weird dates with, like, I was dumped on a date. I was dumped by a fast food manager in the game.
All right.
But I agreed to go out with him even though he insulted how I looked.
So you get to this point, you're on the D list, and you're on a virtual date
With Dirk Diamond.
with a B-lister.
Yep, Dirk Diamond.
You know, who's
hot
like way out
actor
of your league.
with pink hair. Yeah,
Pink hair?
he had pink hair.
Oh, God.
And you break down and you say,
I could not lose this date. I mean, you get judged on how good the date is going or the gig. I mean, look, like I was in the middle with Dirk Diamond, who was a B-lister, and he wanted the expensive wine.
And you,
Why did you have to pay for it?
I like this
know.
game. Wait, someone else is going to buy me fancy wine? What the fuck? I'm in. I like these gender roles.
You have to buy him like the nice meal. You have to mingle. It's like 8 bolt energy points to like make out or something and charm him.
And so you...
Wow.
And yeah, you got to shell out to be with Dirk Diamond.
How much did you spend?
I spent $59.99 in the App Store.
Real dollars.
Real dollars.
No, but you know what it bought me though? It bought me.
Oh, do tell. Do tell.
Look.
Okay.
All right.
All we have to say is that I became a lot more popular in the game after that.
And this is why Kim Kardashian, this is why the game is on pace to gross like $200 million or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, year-end revenue, they project that it's going to make about $200 million. And on top of that, Kim Kardashian is rumored to be getting 45% of that. According to TMZ, she's going to be getting 45% of that. So, I mean, if she's basically going to be making about $85 million on this one app. Just to put that in perspective, last year she made about like $23 million, or maybe it's 20. I think it was actually $28 million on everything that she'd done last year. Everything, $28 million total. She's making $85 million on this.
There are going to be so many more clones coming out. This is already a clone of a clone.
I'm waiting. Yeah.
I wonder how much I can sell my likeness for.
$23.
Okay.
Not $23
All right.
million.
Okay. All right. So the other big news was Uber. Uber actually had a few things happen this week, reported in TechCrunch. The first was a story I wrote, which was Uber is finally, and I say finally, on Windows Phone for the 24 people who have Windows phones.
I know that post went up. I know people in Reddit were like, "Oh, look, Uber's on Windows Phone. What the fuck, TechCrunch?" I know it. Like all across Seattle, there was grumpy faces after the headline.
Well, the headline that I ran with was like Uber releases Windows Phone app, dozens of Seattle users rejoice.
Right.
Yes.
Which, you know, the whole idea is that Android owns like 80% market share. Right. Apple owns another 15%, and so like
Windows
this is
Phone has
really
3%
going
global.
like 3% global. So it's really like a really tiny amount. But I guess if you're kind of bored of releasing new apps for all the other platforms.
Well, I mean, there's a big land grab going on right now. I mean, Uber and Lyft, as we'll talk about in a minute, are going across all markets in the U.S. and abroad to get the most revenue and the most growth and the most mind share that they can. And so I think they can't really afford to not go to these other platforms. And Windows Phone is slowly growing, and so it makes sense kind of long term. But But there's a little history here for me because I talk to Microsoft a lot, and they're always like, how can we get you to use Windows Phone? I'm always like, well, I can't use Uber, and therefore I can't do my job. We have to go to meetings and move around, and like sometimes you just
Which
need a card.
actually wasn't true. They have a mobile web experience.
Yeah, but that's like an Etch-a-Sketch compared to a Monet. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
And so, and now finally, after all this time, I told them like dozens of times, and it's finally actually happened. And so I feel like it's kind of a coup for them, even though we're being snarky. I mean, I
they
think
did
they're
it
probably
just
pretty
for
happy.
you, so that they can get you.
No, that's not what I mean at all. I mean it's a win for Windows Phone users because they've been waiting a long time for this. And I think they're going to be happy to have it.
It's also a win for people in Flint, Michigan, where our own Matt Burns is located. He reported today. Well, he reported on Thursday, I think, or Wednesday.
That was today.
Earlier in the week.
What?
He reported earlier in the week that at some point Uber launched in Flint, Michigan, making him very happy. He can now get to the hardware store / donut shop.
But so if you haven't read this post, everyone that's watching, it has a screenshot of our back channel and our conversation about how we kind of looked at the Flint, Michigan expansion. So if you want kind of an inside view on how we communicate internally, it's the edited version slightly.
The idea was that they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel if they're like going to the murder capital of the world and
not scraping the bottom. They're just aggressively going for all revenue growth they can. Because they're valued at a very high valuation. They can't afford to show slipping revenue. They have to keep growing quickly. And so they'll be in Flint. They'll probably be in Salem, Oregon, Junior Oregon, Corvallis, Oregon. I mean, if
they're in Amarillo, Texas.
I don't even know how many people live in Amarillo, Texas.
Yeah, neither do I.
Sarah?
I have no idea.
Just guess.
Anyway, Amarillo people, you have Uber.
1,000?
25,000?
So does
Sure.
Flint, Michigan.
So does Flint, Michigan.
And with that,
and with that,
we conclude another awesome Crunch Week episode. Thanks for listening.